Thank you, Kim. We were muted. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Om Jnanatirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So today we're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 3, Text 3.
Chapter 7.
Yes, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 3. 373. Thank you. Kridayam Udyamo Rivasya
Vidayam Udyamor Basya.
Kamash Chikridishan Yatha
Kamash Chikri Dishanyata.
Sutastripastya Chakatam
Svatas Triptasya Chakatam.
Nivritasya Sadanyata
Nivritasya Sadanyata.
Kridayam Udyamo Rivasya
Vidayam Udyamor Basya.
Kamash Chikridishan Yatha
Kamash Chikri Dishanyata.
Satastriptasya Chakatam
Svatas Triptasya Chakatam.
Nivritasya Sadanyata
Nivritasya Sadanyata.
Kridayam Udyamor Vasya
Vidayam Udyamor Basya.
Kamash Chikridishan Yatha
Kamash Chikri Dishanyata.
Satastriptasya Chakatam
Svatas Triptasya Chakatam.
Nivritasya Sadanyata
Nivritasya Sadanyata. Vidayam Udyamor Basya.
Vidayam Udyamor Vasya
Kamas Chikri Dishanyata.
Kamash Chikridishan
Svatas Triptasya Chakatam.
Satastriptasya Chakatam
Nivritasya Sadanyata.
Nivritasya Sadanyata. Would anybody online like to recite?
I'll do it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kridayam Udyamor Basya
Vidayam Udyamor Basya.
Kamas Chikridin Yasanyata
Kamas Chikri Dishanyata.
Svatas Triptasya Chakatam
Svatas Chakatam
Nivritasya Sadanyata.
Nivritasya Sadanyata.
We'll go to the word by word. Kridayam,
Vidayam.
in the matter of playing.
In the matter of playing.
Udyama,
Udyama.
enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm.
Arbasya,
Basya.
of the boys.
Of the boys.
Kama,
Kama.
desire.
Desire.
Chikridisha,
Chikridisha.
willingness to play.
Willingness to play.
Anyata,
Anyata.
with the other boys.
With other boys.
Swata Triptasya,
Svata Triptasya.
for one who is self-satisfied.
For one who is self-satisfied.
Cha,
Cha.
also.
Also.
Katam,
Katam.
what for?
What for?
Nivritasya,
Nivritasya.
one who is detached.
One who is detached.
Sada,
Sada.
at all times.
At all times.
Anyata,
Anyata.
otherwise.
Otherwise.
Translation. Boys are enthusiastic to play with other boys or with various diversions because they are encouraged by desire. But there is no possibility for such desire of the Lord because he is self-satisfied and detached from everything at all times. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second, there is no possibility that anything besides him can exist. He expands himself by his energies in multi-forms of self-expansions and separated expansions as well, just as fire expands itself by heat and light. Since there is no other existence besides the Lord himself, the Lord's association with anything manifests his association with himself. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagada vyakta murtina tatsani sarva bhutani naham vishvashvita. The complete manifestation of the cosmic situation is an expansion of the Lord himself in his impersonal feature. All things are situated in him only, yet he is not in them. That is the opulence of the Lord's attachment and detachment. He is attached to everything, yet he is detached from all. Hare Krishna. Online we have Bhakti Oasis with George and Danielle. We have Allison, Kim, Gajendra, Anasuya, Rukmini, and Christina. And somebody just, Christina went on video. And in person we have myself, Tira Govinda, and Valerie. Hare Krishna. So, okay. There's no possibility of such desire for the Lord because he is self-satisfied and detached from everything at all times. So Krishna is what's called Atmarama, right? So he's self-satisfied, and at the same time he possesses all the opulences. So he's self-satisfied, so he already doesn't need anything. At the same time, he's fully renounced, so he again doesn't need anything. And also he has all the six opulences, so also he has everything that he could possibly ever want. So he's like in triple ways has no desire. And so then we go to Bhagavad Gita 9:26, where I don't have the Sanskrit, but Krishna says, if one offers me with love, with devotion, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept. So the natural conclusion is Krishna has everything except for leaves, flowers, water, and fruit. So that's why he needs us to offer. Danielle's shaking her head. No, right? So the reason why is for our own benefit, right? So Krishna accepts service. He accepts our love or devotion in so many ways, not because he needs that in order to then, because he's almost complete and perfect, and then he just needs a couple fruits, and then he's complete. But because he wants to give us the opportunity to get his mercy, to get the mercy of giving service. Another description of Krishna as Param, which again means full of the six opulences, not like 99% full of the opulences, but 100%. Speaking of percents, because I like numbers, so Krishna is 100% of all the qualities, and there's different incarnations or avatars that have like some percent less, maybe like 96%, depending on which avatar, incarnation, manifestation, expansion. I don't really know the distinctions between those words exactly. Krishna, maybe possibly also Balaram. Balaram's also sometimes described as being equal to Krishna. Again, you know, Krishna's one without a second. So it's Achincha Veda Veda Tattva. But the point being, Krishna, maybe also Balaram, is completely full of all of his transcendental qualities, and then the different like Vishnu expansions, Narayan incarnations, things like that. 96%. Shiva, who's neither Jiva nor Vishnu, is like 84. We're like maximum 78%. Anyway, point being, since let me come back to the verse here. My next point. Where am I? Since there is no existence besides the Lord himself, the Lord's association with anything manifests his association with himself. I thought that was interesting. But we can see that also. I was just talking about Krishna Balaram. We can see that in Krishna Balaram, in the Krishna Balaram pastimes, in the Krishna Balaram relationship, in that Leela. Okay, Balaram is Krishna's first expansion, and he's his brother, his friend, his first servitor. Sometimes described when they're playing and Krishna lays down, Balaram will massage his legs and things like that. So at a class recently, I asked why is Balaram the original spiritual master, and to paraphrase / quote Dear Govinda, kind of the answer I heard is because he's the original servitor, so he's teaching us how to serve, teaching us how to be in that relationship, and of course we are parts and parcels of Krishna. So just like the verse is saying, since there's no other existence besides the Lord himself, the Lord's association with anything manifests his association with himself. So also true for us, right? So we're parts and parcels. So it's kind of like if I'm massaging my leg, that's like my hand is the part and parcel massaging, let's say, the whole of my body. So it's like my association with myself. So similarly, how we're parts and parcels of Krishna, whenever we're reciprocating with him, it's also in one way an expression of Krishna associating with himself. Recently, when Padmanabha Swami was in town, and in one of his lectures, he talked about how sometimes in Radha Krishna, sometimes the oneness is emphasized, sometimes the distinction is emphasized. So I didn't find any like scripture specifically talking about Radharani being an expansion, or Radharani is like an energy of Krishna. That much I know. So this is like another way that we can experience this verse, how in the Radharani relationship, it's Krishna relating with his energy. So again, it's another expression of how Krishna is always in association with himself. Any way which we look at it, since Krishna is everything, right? Can't get away from that. And of course, we're talking about Krishna Balaram. We can see the same dynamic with Gaura Nitai. So Krishna coming as Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda. And it said, actually, Nityananda is not an expansion of Balaram, but is Balaram himself. Not that I know what distinction that would make, but that is something. That's true. Prabhupada said it, so I'm quoting him. Yeah, and then so here it's talking about Krishna. He expands himself by his energies in multi-forms of self-expansions and separated expansions as well. For me, it's all a little bit confusing, overwhelming. How many there's like expansion, partial expansion, incarnation, avatar, anyway, things like that. But some fun facts that I learned is that Balaram expands himself into Mahasankarshan. I don't know what that is. I tried finding more information, so I just have question marks there. Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, and Anantashesh. Those are all expansions of Balaram, which was new information to me. That were, well, anyway, it is Krishna, but I guess there's like various steps in between where Krishna expands himself in so many fascinating ways. Like there's the original quadruple, which maybe I have here somewhere. Chaturvyuha. Yes, thank you. Which is Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Vasudev, and Sankarshan. And then it's like, then those each have like 3 separate expansions, and then also 2 separate other expansions, and those form the 24 forms of Krishna that they're on the cover of some of the Canto 1, I believe, of the colorful Bhagavatam set, where they'll kind of look similar, but they're holding in their forearms conch shell, lotus, club, something else in different positions. The disc. And so they're holding. So anyway, I was learning about so many different forms that Krishna takes. Krishna's forms are described as being unlimited, like the waves of the ocean, sometimes described in the millions, sometimes unlimited. So for me, so fascinating that Prabhupada says that a perfect yogi can expand himself 8, maybe 9 times, which for me is even like, it's more inconceivable nowadays that a person could expand himself 8 or 9 times than Krishna expanding himself millions and millions of unlimited times. So I'm hoping that means that I have like some drop of faith, some drop of belief in Krishna, because a regular person expanding himself even just once, to me it's like, no, it's like, that's like a movie. But Krishna expanding himself into into like a boar and a fish and in a horse and in a 16,108 versions of himself to marry his 16,108 wives, like that seems more believable. So that's kind of, as I was doing the research, that was nice for me to see. Oh, like I have a little bit less skepticism about all this like super fantastic, fantabular things. That he comes as a tortoise and as a dwarf and as himself, and then as himself differently. And yeah, no, it's a little bit more believable than a person expanding themselves. Fun fact, also, perfect yogis can. Again, Prabhupada says it, so it must be true. It's just hard for me to conceive. And then, of course, we have some of Krishna's, what I'm maybe considering some of Krishna's most merciful expansions. So sometimes it is described that there's no one as merciful as Lord Chaitanya, because he's ready to give love of Godhead to everyone. So that's my first pick, is Lord Chaitanya. So merciful that he's meeting us wherever we're at. Also, like I've heard that like, the Gauri Thai deities don't accept offenses. Seems like Dira's agreeing with that, so I'm gonna take it that there's some truth there. So I like Gauri Thai deities because then like, you know, I can feel all kinds of like, and I still do all kinds of like shameful or like, no, I'm gonna be offensive, but to know that, yeah, just he's having empathy, he's seeing my intention, not so much like I think of right now I'm thinking of many years ago where there was a friend of a friend, or maybe it was a friend's boyfriend, and he wanted to be friends with me, so he bought me some food, and he brought me like, I don't know, rice with chicken or something, and I was like, I so appreciate your intention, your gesture, you want to connect, but I'm not going to accept the thing. I'm not going to eat it, but so see your care. So right now I'm thinking, yeah, if I have the capacity to do that, then like, of course, Krishna has the capacity to do that, to say, I see that you're trying. That's very sweet. You're doing it all wrong, but it's very sweet that you're trying. It's very, I accept your care. So Lord Chaitanya described us as the most merciful form of Krishna. And then we also have the deities. So deity forms. I don't know if Murti is a correct term for that, but deity forms. Because Prabhupada says we're dull. We have gross, dull senses. We can't really see beyond wood or stone or metal. But Krishna's merciful that okay, he'll appear to us in forms that we can see, so that we can associate with him. Like if we didn't have, there's described like 8 different forms, like with jewels, with stone, with wood, and painting. Those were the only 4 names, so I don't know what the other 4 are, but there's 4 others. So if we didn't have these forms that we could see with our material eyes, I know for me personally, it would be so much harder to connect with Krishna. I'm only supposed to see him like, I don't know, in my mind's eye, or somehow supposed to see his form here just through my pure senses. I know I would be supremely discouraged. I like to be able to see Krishna. Certainly encourages me, keeps me going, to be able to look around my house or around here and to see Krishna for a visual reminder. Fun fact there that modern science claims that 80% of our input, our sensory experience is visual. So for me, I know I mean, Shastra says hearing is more important, right? But okay, I know from my very limited perception, I tend to favor being able to see. Yes, and then as I was either sitting here or coming here, I was thinking, oh, Lord Jagannath. Also, I think that's such a merciful form of Krishna, because I find it so it's so playful. Like it appeals to like my inner child, where like, oh, I liked watching cartoons. Like Jagannath is like, sometimes depicted like very cartoony. I have a picture of Jagannath in my altar, and it's like, yeah, it's just so playful. Every time I'm like, I just perceive Jagannath as so friendly, so friendly. Another fun fact, which I was really touched by, my birthday was 11 days ago. It was March 19th. And for my birthday, my mom made me a cake, and she printed out, it's like really blown away. She printed out these pictures of Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, and put them on toothpicks and put them on the cake. And I was just so like, wow, so blown away. And like, how do you know how to do this? I was like, how did you figure this out? My sister was gonna maybe get me keychains or something, or stickers, and then she didn't. But then my mom made them into these cake decorations. I was so touched, so touched. So even something like this, where I don't know, I feel like it was very accessible for her to get some association with Jagannath Baladev. She was doing service to Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra, which yeah, I can imagine maybe she wouldn't have with so many other forms of Krishna. Like probably wouldn't have done that with like Nrsingadev or whatever. So many other forms of Krishna. I don't imagine that she would have put them on the cake, but she did with Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra. So yeah, for me, so merciful. Like it's like Jagannath is on shirts and stickers and keychains. I just brought his keys, and he has a Jagannath keychain. So I'm just thinking like, oh wow, like anytime that Jagannath is moving through the world and somebody happens to see him, and it's like, oh, interesting. What a cool image. What a fun image. Then already that person is appreciating Krishna. So I'm a big fan of Jagannath. And of course, this is like so many forms that we can serve Krishna. So many forms that Krishna makes himself available. Like it said, it's not that I'm going to go look at the deities. I'm going to go so the deities can see me. So yeah, so many ways that Krishna makes himself available to us. Okay, so then to pick another section of the purport here to expand upon. So right after, so he expands himself by his energies in multi-forms of self-expansions and separated expansions as well. And so this part, just as fire expands itself by heat and light. So that's an analogy that we hear so often about the sun glow, the sunshine. So Prabhupada says heat is not different from fire, and light is not different from fire. At the same time, heat and light aren't fire. So achincha veda veda tapa. Right. So the sun globe, which is localized, and then the sunshine, which is distributed all over the universe. So one perspective could be, well, the sunshine is more important because the sunshine is everywhere, and the sun globe is just in one spot. So the sunshine is bigger and better, right? There's always like bigger is always better, like a material mentality, bigger is better. But we can also easily see that without the sun globe, there would be no sunshine. So as soon as the sun disappears, all the sunshine is gone also. So the material creation is so vast, and Krishna's everywhere diffuse. And so yes, that's true. And at the same time, okay, so even like, so that part, the sun globe, sunshine, I get it very practically, very just. And then there's like, oh, even more important to the sun globe is the sun god. I hear that there's a sun god in there, Vivashvan. Not that I have, again, any personal realization of that, but then the idea follows that also without the sun god, then there would be no sun globe and also no sunshine. So, right, so like that. So we have the localized, so the equivalent of the sun globe would be Paramatma, Shri Dakashai Vishnu. Then the sunshine, the Brahma Gyoti is the diffuse oneness, the sunshine, the spiritual sunshine that's permeating everywhere, just like the material sunshine is permeating everywhere in the universe. And then the sun god equivalent here, so would be Krishna. Right. So everything, we could say like, well, everything is Krishna. So I'm always worshiping Krishna. Whatever I'm worshiping Krishna. And so in one way that's true. Prabhupada says like, yes, it's technically true that we are, if you are worshiping anything, you're worshiping Krishna indirectly. But he also says God energy worship is not the same as God worship. So worshiping Krishna's energy is not equivalent. There's some value if we recognize, okay, everything's Krishna, and so I'm worshiping Krishna in his pervasive energy. That there is merit to recognizing that. At the same time, it's not equivalent with personally worshiping Krishna. Okay, so then we have the Bhagavad Gita 9:4 verse here, right? Which I'll read the direct verse here, so almost like a paraphrasing. So it says, "By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them." So here in the Bhagavatam verse where it's referenced, it says, "All things are situated in him only, yet he is not in them." So that's what Krishna says. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So my first thought was, well, that's also not entirely accurate because we know that Krishna enters. Krishna's there with us, right? Paramatma, super soul. So okay, in one way, he is there because he is in everything. But my understanding of what he's saying here is that he's not there personally. He's there through his energy, through like, okay, Paramatma as his representative, which, as we discussed earlier, there's like a sequence of events of like Krishna expanding as Balaram, expanding as, I don't remember, some sequence of events, and then eventually Kshirodakashayi Vishnu enters. So it's not Krishna himself directly entering. So that's my understanding. Like, of course, he is within and without. He is within us all, also outside. But in this verse, my understanding, I'm not claiming that my understanding is accurate, that what Krishna is saying is that that he's not there personally inside of us. He's not like another sun analogy that's given is like how the sun can act upon, like can purify something or can dry water without personally being there to do the service that functions happening by the sunshine, by the heat, by most of the heat, not the light. And so similarly, how Krishna's carrying out all these activities, including being there with us, though not directly, not personally. And then my example for understanding this, Prabhupada gives some example of like a factory owner, and then, okay, I'm trying to make it understandable to myself here. So we have the example of Amazon, like not the place, but the company. Like, we can see Amazon trucks and vans and packages practically everywhere. So it's like Krishna's all pervasive energy. Everywhere you could see Amazon, right? Sometimes even in words. Oh, did you get that at Amazon? Like Krishna's name form. So Amazon everywhere, pervasive, probably throughout every country. So just like Krishna's energy, and so Amazon's operating all over the world, right? Yet, say the equivalent of the sun god, so like the Amazon god, so Jeff Bezos, right, the owner of Amazon, he's not there personally driving the trucks, delivering the packages at the warehouse, stocking, managing the refunds, etc. At the same time, this whole thing's happening all the time, probably 24/7 in some places, certainly all over the world, or in most places of the world. And he might be like maybe in Fiji or Hawaii, or sometimes in space, because also he like a little bit kind of like Krishna, like he can go wherever he wants, including space, of course in a much more limited way. Yeah, so if we can, like, for me, that this really makes sense. Like if some material person can create this kind of operation where his energy is operating all over the world, and he's not personally involved, and of course Krishna being all powerful, having all opulences, also being purely spiritual and perfect, like of course he can create the same kind of system where he is operating everywhere all at once, 24/7 and beyond, without personally being there. Okay, my final words. Hare Krishna. if there's any questions, comments, sharings, queries, concerns, challenges, corrections, I welcome them. Anybody? Danielle?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for your beautiful class. I really liked it so much. There's so much richness for me. I particularly like your Amazon analogy. That feels very relevant to my life. There's a lot of, ubiquitous Amazon is very visible to me. It's definitely it's a time. It's like it's a function of our age. In the last, like 5 years, I've seen Amazon just blow up. And so that feels very relevant. Another reference to this same thing that you're talking about, I've heard, is that like I could be here at the house and I could smell something delicious, like, oh, I smell something that's so delicious, and I could know that it's in my house with me. It's like emanating from somewhere. It's pervasively all throughout my house. And I could hear like noises coming from the kitchen, like, oh, someone's cooking something. Definitely, there's something delicious here. And then I could even have someone come and tell me, like, oh, they're making glubjamins in the kitchen. Glubjamins are here. They're here. And then if I go to the kitchen, I could actually see the form of glubjamins. There's like they're in my physical presence, even like I could physically see them. But it's not until I eat the glubjamin, it's not until I have that taste of the glubjamin that I can really fully experience the presence of the glubjamin and be in association with the glubjamin. And so I feel that so much in my reciprocity with Srila Prabhupada's Murti, and now bringing Sri Sri Gaura Nitai into our home ashram. Like I want to move more into that space of trying to, attempt in some way to taste the glubjamin, like to be more like in an awareness of, okay, there are glubjamins, and I can do more than just look at the photo, of the glubjamin. Like I could have some taste of the glubjamin. I could have some experience of what this glubjamin might be. And Krishna is so kind that we don't actually need to do some special ceremony. Like, even to have an association with glubjamin, there's so much austerity that needs to be undertaken. You have to have special ingredients, and you have to have special knowledge of those ingredients, and you have to have like a special, ceremony to like mix them. And then I don't know what happens. I think you fry them, the oil has to be the right temperature. And then all of those things have to happen perfectly in order for there to be an experience of anything glubjamin-like, And there's so many counterfeit glubjamins out there. Like you can go to all sorts of department stores or things that are just like fake glubjamins. You're like, these aren't anything like what glubjamins are supposed to be like. You get them, you bring them home, and you're like, this is like basically the cake pop that someone's like putting some sugar syrup or something. It's like not a glubjamin. And so we don't get that experience with Krishna. Even like a child's drawing, if it's done with love, that could be really a form of Krishna. Like it doesn't need to, there's no perfection, there's no special ceremony, there's like nothing and also there's so much that we can do in order to empower these murtis, these deities to be really potent. So it really just depends on our consciousness and how much sincerity we have, and like how much we really want to taste those glubjamins. But really, like a picture of Krishna drawn by someone who has a spirit of love, like that tinge of love, Krishna will come. He'll be present there. There's no diminution. There's no austerity that we have to take other than really wanting to be in association with him. And then of course there's so much that we can do to support ourselves to have a really nice association with him. So I'm in that space of really trying to research about Sri Sri Gaura Nitai, about how to properly associate, how to bring them into the home, how to be with them, learn about them, take care of them. Again, not that they need any of that. They don't need any of that, but yet it's a blessing for me. It's in order for me to get in contact with them and have the opportunity to serve them. And so I appreciate your class because it's so much centered on the idea of, okay, Krishna is unlimited, and he has unlimited potencies, and he has unlimited opulences, and he's self-satisfied, and he can just interact with himself endlessly and all these different permutations. And he has no need for Danielle Mara, character Bhakti Danielle Mara in Pensacola, Florida, to have any interaction with him. But he's so merciful, he's so kind, he's just wanting that anyway. He's like, hey, have an experience. It's like a little kid with like a macaroni picture coming to the parent, like, hey, we don't really need that, but yet it's good for us. It's like good for us to be in association with him. It's good for us to hang that macaroni picture up on the fridge. And I think that there's nothing that I can offer him that would be like good enough. Like we're trying to, create a space and give him like, all this like structure so that we can really meditate mindfully on the forms of the Lord and make sure that but I'm thinking like, what can I give? Like, what can I do? How can I make a space that's good enough? It's not possible. So I just think like, okay, Saraswati's like pictures and macaroni paint and stuff that she does. It's like, it's not perfect. It's not the best. And that's like so much of what you were saying in your conversation here is it's not about being the best. It's about being in love. It's about really coming from a place of like, I give her every material in the house, nothing she provided herself. I'm the one that came up with, I'm like, these are the crayons you're going to play with. This is the space you're going to do the crayon painting in. This is where, none of it was from her. And yet she created it, right? So she created it. So it's like, I'm not creating any of this. I have no potency. I have nothing that I can do, literally. But yet he's so merciful that it seems that way to me. Like I get this illusory conception of being able to serve him when really I even have any potency to serve him. So yeah, it's a very relevant conversation for me. I feel very inspired by hearing about the different expansions and incarnations and avatars. And again, I also don't have much or if of any realization, but I like the idea of one day being able to taste the globjumen, like being able to actually see past what appears just like the exterior covering and have some reciprocity, some like real, some like, okay, like I'm chanting all these Maha mantras and like maybe one day I'll actually chant one, like I'm practicing to actually chant like one Maha mantra one day. So Hare Krishna, thank you so much for your class, Bhakta Eze.
Hare Krishna, Danielle. Thanks so much for your commentary. I feel like there's so many things that could be expanded upon. I liked your Gulab analogy, and especially your comment about counterfeit Gulab. That was fun. In that moment, I had the thought, oh, I would love to hear you give class. And like you seem like, yeah, like you would give a very engaging class to me. And I also appreciated it really landed for me when you gave the example of Sarasvati, like here are your crayons, here the space, here are the parameters, and then okay, she's doing something with that to give it to you, or for whatever purposes she's doing. I'm imagining she wants to show it to you with like, look what I've done, look what I've done. And you said it's not perfect, it's not the best, yet you can still see the love, the affection, the sweetness there. So that really landed for me in terms of that's exactly what Krishna's doing, right? Okay, here are your material elements. Here's your container. Here, go play over there in that corner of the universe. Where the adults will be over here. You go and go do your messy thing over there. And then yeah, we're trying to like, hey, look what we did. And then it's kind of like, okay, messy and sloppy and maybe dirty and what have you. Like, okay, like yeah, that we might be able to muster some sincerity even while we're playing over there in the dirty corner. I appreciate that. Hare Krishna. Any other questions, comments, challenges, corrections, Dira?
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. I'm enthused to be with everyone. Yeah. Oh, we just did something there. Actually. Not sure what happened there in the last moment. We just got the sports scores or something. There, we're good. All right. Hare Krishna. Well, Bhakti and Danielle's classes are filled with transcendental intelligence and enthusiasm. I think it was about 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Bhakti and Danielle led a class. It was very enlivening, deep. And of course, I know her and George, they have an evening Bhagavatam and this and that. So, but I'll take your comment, Bhakti, as to invite Bhakti and Danielle to lead classes in these programs more frequently. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thanks for your class, Bhakti. Yeah, so much there. Yeah, so you referenced Krishna as Atmarama, and Krishna's purity. Atmarama means we're not pulled and pushed by the modes of material nature. So it's Krishna and pure devotees. And so Shukadeva Goswami, the main speaker of Bhagavatam, is specifically known as Atmarama. And so for me, I'm just saying, I'm reflecting on that reference in this verse, because Shukadeva Goswami was talking about like boys playing.
Mhm.
And then, but even the play in this material world, it's not Atmarama.
Mhm.
It's not Atmarama. And then I get like because where we've come from into this chapter and where we're going, as third canto goes on, is material creation. So that, yeah, and then related, like, yeah, I mean, Krishna can emanate and create material forms in any way he does, and he does it through this artistic, sophisticated succession of expansions and like that. And so I'm getting like I get one thing that Sri Vidura is saying here is that the whole material creation is Krishna's pastime. It's full get to. It's full get to. So we think of Krishna's pastimes with Srimati Radharani, the cowherd boys in Goloka Vrindavan. The whole material creation is Krishna's pastime, which I mean, if we think of it in one twisted way, so well, that's a yeah, that's a very dark sense of humor. It's a very dark. He gets enjoyment from because we've all experienced this, and we all see so much misery in material creation. But it's just like ideally the prison house. It's from the love of the king to create the prison house of the government. It's not just to sadistic punishment for criminals, but it's for their rehabilitation so they become happy citizens. So it's like Krishna wanting us back in Goloka Vrindavan to associate with him. So even the material energy, that's important. So it's Krishna's pastime, but it's not our pastime. Sure, the king, the government, yeah, they're choosing to create a prison house. The governor might even visit sometime, but it's not like the prisoners. This is our pastime. No, it's not your pastime.
Yeah.
No, it's not my pastime to be in solitary confinement. I'm forced to be here because I violated the law or something like that. And then I appreciate where you went with the Achintya Beta Tattva, simultaneous and inconceivable oneness and difference. And that text from Bhagavad Gita 9.4, that's like, I'll call it the quintessential Achintya Beta Tattva verse, really in all the Vedas. And right, so then that's, and that you're making those distinctions, and we get, because Achintya means inconceivable, Beta Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. But inconceivable means we're able to effectively make the distinctions, as you referenced Padmanabha Swami, when to emphasize the oneness, when to emphasize the difference. The purport here emphasizes oneness a lot more than usual. It's an interesting purport, and yes, and then so yeah, we're all. There's a place, 9th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna and Prabhupada in the purport, they say, yes, your grandmother is Krishna. You are Krishna. And it's there. We don't usually hear that. And Krishna makes it clear. Text 2:12 of Bhagavad Gita. Natvevaham jatuna samnatvam name janadipa. Nachevana bhavishyama sarveva matat puram. He says we're eternally individual, separate persons. He doesn't say when these bodies die, we all merge into one identity. So that's like the distinction. So yeah, everything's Krishna. That's true. And then we go, so then whatever I do is Krishna conscious.
I like where you're going with this.
Yeah, right. So not necessarily. Not necessarily. There's a text like in the Vedas, there's demigod worship, and Krishna says, Yajantya Vidi Purvakam. Okay, that those who worship the demigods, they're really worshiping me, but they don't have proper understanding. It's like trying to water the separate branch without getting the root, and of course the branches are an extension of the root. So everything's Krishna. Okay, but then how much realization do we have how much realization do we have to see Krishna in every atom, in the heart of every living entity? So Krishna gives us some help. Rasoham apsu kontiya, he says, I'm the taste of water. Prabhasmi sasi surya, I'm the light of the sun and the moon. Shabdake, I'm the sound in ether. There's sometimes I reference a lecture from Srila Prabhupada, 1966, and he mentions that I'm the sound in ether. And so we could think like, okay, like chanting Om, or chanting Hare Krishna, or maybe the chirping of the birds. That's Krishna. But just at that moment, it was like New York City, so like an airplane flew by. So this kind of ugly Kali Yuga noise. And Prabhupada said, that is Krishna too. So everything's so yeah, so like, so the question isn't like whether Krishna's ever, I mean, that's clear. So it's like, how much are we cultivating realization to be able to realize Krishna everywhere, and to be able to relate to Krishna's different energies. You gave the example following on the purport of heat, light, and fire, and to relate to Krishna's different energies, whether it's the sound of the airplane, or the chirping of the birds, or the money in the bank account. How much realization do we have to relate to the different energies and utilize them in a way that doesn't alienate ourselves from ourselves and Krishna, but actually deepens our enthusiasm for bhakti yoga and self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Any other sharings, questions, comments?
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
it's
Kim?
Kim. Thank you for class. It was really nice. I really appreciated, everything about just appreciating all the forms and how each one is attractive probably to different people and in different ways. And what a mercy that is, because we're all so different that we need probably different to attract each person. And I was very much agreeing with Lord Jagannath. The form of Lord Jagannath is very attractive to me and probably to so many. And then your story about that was so nice. And then I think, like, whenever I see like stickers of Lord Jagannath, like you'll see them on skateboards, you'll see them everywhere. And a lot of those people probably don't even really realize what they have there, but it's probably opening up for them, to one day fully appreciate, maybe not this life, maybe many lives, but it's that first opening. And I think of that when I see those forms that are often in odd places that people aren't even really understanding what they have or see there. So that's such a mercy right there. When I was a child, I got a little tin box. I think it had soap in it, and Krishna's picture was on it. And I think, was that my opening? And I didn't even realize. And anyway, so that whole talk just brought all that up, and I just really appreciated and enjoyed it. And I just wanted to comment on that. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, your sharing reminds me of, I know Malini sometimes talks about, like, I think it was maybe she had a little bottle of like an essential oil with a picture of Krishna whenever she was very young, and she didn't know much about it, but she always liked the bottle, so she kept it around for however long. So yeah, your sharing of your little tin box with potentially soap in it reminds me of that. And same with the stickers, how, yeah, possibly most people that are seeing Jagannath might not know who he is. At the same time, they're still getting association. They're getting some taste, some attraction. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, additions, sharings? Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami
Namini, Tinamine, Namaste, Saraswati, Devi, whoever.